All right, let's welcome in the founder of FreePressFail.com. That's Corinne Clark, along with Republican strategist and the host of 13-Minute News Hour, Bobby Eberle. To you both, a good evening, and thanks for being with me. So, last night, North Dakota caucuses, Donald Trump won easily. He won all weekend, with the exception of D.C., as I just mentioned, which is very establishment swampy, very different than everything else. How do you see this playing out? We'll start with you, Corinne. How do you see tonight playing out?
I think there is a chance to pick up some delegates in Virginia, but as I just looked at the turnout, and Virginia is reporting like a 6% turnout for this election. So I'm not thinking the numbers are going to be too dramatic, and Trump will likely pull off a victory. It is a proportional distribution, though, so Haley could pick up a couple delegates.
And Bobby, what do you think? It's winner take all, really, in many ways, if you get 50% or more. So, I mean, there's only two people on the ballot, so it's likely he will sweep. If he does all these states, he'll sweep up all the delegates. So what do you think? I mean, D.C. was an anomaly, but where do you see her chances tonight?
Yeah, people think of somewhere like New Hampshire, right, as being a small state, but that had over 300,000 people voting in the Republican primary. D.C. had 2,000. I mean, it's like a neighborhood. And so it's really meaningless when you come to Super Tuesday and you see what's at stake, the lead that President Trump has in state after state after state. Corinne made a great point that, some of these are proportional distribution. So Haley will definitely pick up some delegates, but the race was over, last month, a month before. I mean, it's just, you wonder what's going to happen. And I think it's just spending never Trump money. I mean, that's all this is right now, because there is no path. She was talking this weekend about a path forward, but there is none. There's absolutely none. And I think after the blowout tonight, maybe she'll pack it in.
But I don't think her voters care. I mean, they basically have said, if anything, she's a protest vote against Donald Trump within the GOP. Some of them have said, if she doesn't get the nomination, they won't stay with the Republican ballot and they'll vote for Biden, which doesn't make much sense to me. And I think a lot of these voters in these open primary states that voted for Nikki Haley have kind of admitted they wouldn't vote for her in November anyway. They're more Biden voters to begin with. So, Carolyn, do you think that, these are more just a protest vote, or do you think there's something bigger within the Republican Party that has to be settled?
Oh, it certainly is a protest vote, and that's clear because Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. I think that I'd have to agree with my co-panelist here that I think this is just an effort to spend a lot of never Trump money right now. There is no hope for her to be on the ballot in November. And I think the energy is really behind Donald Trump. So these protest votes are really meaningless. And I don't think that they'll affect the GOP at large, because Donald Trump has a ton of momentum behind him in the states that matter, and he's going to win.
So, Bobby, do you think tonight, if it's pretty conclusive that Trump wins everywhere, let's just give her a state or two. Let's just play this game for a second. Let's say she wins Virginia and she wins Vermont or whatever. What happens next? I mean, it's still almost impossible. Does she continue on to next Tuesday where there's 4 more states, or does she just realize it is over?
Well, yeah. Well, that's the big question, and it kind of depends on what her motivation is, because I want to separate her from her supporters. I understand these protest votes, and the gentleman that you were interviewing that said, wish Trump would tone things down a little bit. People have those concerns, and they might be airing that by voting for Haley. But what's Haley's motivation? After DeSantis came in strong and overtook Haley at the end and won Iowa, he got second place. He did the absolute very best he could, beat every candidate except Trump, and realized that was his high point and got out. And now he's in perfect position for 2028. So you wonder, what is her end game here? Is she, I mean, every month or week or day that goes on, she's losing support for 2028. And you just have to wonder what's the play, because there is no path. If something happened to Trump over the next couple of weeks, he's already going to have the delegates. And me, if I go to the national convention as a Trump delegate, you can bet that DeSantis would jump back in, Ramaswamy would jump back in. People would vote for someone other than Haley. There's just no path forward.
That's a good point. No matter what she accumulates, and it's not much, it's not like she's got bargaining power at the convention in July. Nobody cares, and he'll already be over the top. So good point, and great to have you both, Corinne Clark and Bobby Eberle. Appreciate it. Enjoy the returns tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.